Pretty girl went on a date with a rich guy and a poor guy, and in the end, she chose the poor one. Why? Because she fell for a classic psychological manipulation trick known as the IKEA Effect. It didn't matter that the date with the rich guy was luxurious and 5-star, while the date with the poor guy was basic and more like 3-star. Let's see exactly how the poor guy pulled it off, and how each date went down. The date with the rich guy was exactly what you'd imagine. A black SUV with a driver came to pick her up. They opened the door for her, took her to a fancy restaurant, and the reserved table was already waiting. They ordered champagne, had a few appetizers, chatted, laughed. The rich guy was a total gentleman and treated her like royalty. She didn't have to lift a finger and had a great time. When they dropped her off at home, she even texted him, "Thanks for the date, I had an amazing time." And yet, she chose the poor guy. So what happened on that date? The poor guy wasn't actually poor, he was middle class. But he had an emergency and ran out of money. He picked her up and told her the truth. "I'm broke right now, but how about this? Come downtown with me, I'll play guitar on the street, you help me collect tips, and with whatever we make, we'll go out to eat." And yeah, a lot of girls would have bolted. But this one, who was not only beautiful but also down to earth, said yes to the adventure. Things didn't go great. It rained a little. A cop asked them for a bribe, and they only managed to scrape together $10. Looking back, she still doesn't understand what happened. She didn't really enjoy busking downtown, but she did enjoy being pampered by the rich guy. And yet, she picked the poor one. Now it'll all make sense once we talk about the IKEA effect. Let's talk about IKEA. Their furniture is okay, not bad, but not great either. If you saw an IKEA table at a friend's house and someone asked what you thought, you'd probably say something like, "It's a 7 out of 10. But now, if we asked your friend how much they like that same table, according to a Harvard study, they'd probably rate it a 9 or 10. So who's right? You are. The table really isn't that great. So why is your friend confused? It's because IKEA makes you build the furniture yourself. It's not super hard, maybe takes 1 or 2 hours depending on how handy or clueless you are. And even though most people don't enjoy assembling it, when they're done, they feel like they made it themselves. It becomes their creation. You're looking at the table objectively. But they have a relationship with that thing. They put time and effort into it. And now maybe you're starting to guess what happened during that $10 dinner that made the pretty girl fall for the poor guy. The IKEA effect is so powerful that marketers study it. One story I love that shows how it works is when instant cake mix first hit the market. It was amazing. You just added water, put it in the oven, and boom, delicious cake. But weirdly, no one wanted to buy it. They couldn't figure out why. The taste was great, the price was low. Turns out the problem was that it was too easy to make. A big part of the joy of baking is serving your guests and proudly saying, "I made this." But no housewife felt proud showing off a cake that was as simple as making ramen noodles. What the company had to do was take the egg and milk out of the mix so that the cake would be a little harder to make and the ladies could feel proud. Now that they had to beat the egg and add the milk themselves, maybe even decorate it with some strawberries at the end, that's when they truly felt it was their own masterpiece. Same thing with your buddy who fell in love with his table because he built it himself. Victims of the IKEA effect. It's a cognitive bias where we overvalue something just because we put effort into it. So what happened with the girl? She went to a fancy French restaurant in a blacked-out SUV, got treated like a queen, didn't have to do a thing, and yet she chose the guy with whom she shared tacos and a soda because they only had $10. What happened was, during the fancy date, she felt disconnected. Everything was handed to her on a silver platter. Of course, she enjoyed the French food, but no fancy meal tastes as good as tacos you earned with your own sweat. Without even realizing it, the poor guy was using the IKEA effect the whole time. Like when he's feeling down or has a problem, he talks to her, lets her help with ideas, and when things get better, she feels part of that victory. She feels included. He doesn't have a mansion like the rich guy, but one Saturday he invited her over and they painted his room together. She drew a butterfly and wrote some cheesy quote on the wall. Then they went to a plant nursery and picked out stuff to decorate. And honestly, if you or I walked into that room, it's nothing special. But for her, it's different. She's biased because it's hers. It's got her time, her effort, her love. It feels like something she helped create. The poor guy uses the IKEA effect. He makes her part of his life. Meanwhile, the rich guy gave her everything done and dusted. And while of course she enjoys the comfort, with him she feels like an outsider. With the poor guy, she felt like